In the case of most dreams, although in respect of actual content they are misleading, in the case of most dreams we have of the dead, all that happens is that we interpret them incorrectly. We interpret them as messages from the dead, whereas they are nothing but the echoing of the questions or communications we have ourselves directed to the dead. We should not think that the person who has died is saying something to us in our dream, but we should see in the dream something that goes out from our own soul to the dead person. The dream is the echo of this. If we were sufficiently developed to be conscious of our question or communication to the dead at the moment of going to sleep, it would seem to us as though the dead person himself was speaking. Hence the echo in the dream seems as if it were a message from him. In reality, it comes from ourselves. This becomes intelligible only when we understand the nature of clairvoyant connection with the dead. What the dead seem to say to us is really what we are saying to them. The moment of waking is especially favorable for the dead to approach us. At the moment of waking, very much comes from the dead to every human being. A great deal of what we undertake in life is really inspired in us by the dead, or by beings of the higher hierarchies, although we attribute it to ourselves, imagining that it comes from our own soul. The life of day draws near. The moment of waking passes quickly by, and we seldom pay heed to the intimate indications that arise out of our soul. And when we do, we are vain enough to attribute them to ourselves. Yet in all this, and in much else that comes out of our own soul, there lives what the dead have to say to us. It is indeed so. What the dead say to us seems as if it arises out of our own soul. If people knew what life truly is, this knowledge would engender a feeling of reverence and piety towards the spiritual world in which we are always living, together with the dead with whom we are connected. We should realize that in much of what we do, the dead are working. The knowledge that around us, like the very air we breathe, there is a spiritual world. The knowledge that the dead are round about us, only we are not able to perceive them, this knowledge must arise in spiritual science, not as theory, but so that it permeates the soul as inner life. The dead speak to us inwardly, but we interpret our own inner life incorrectly. If we were to understand it aright, we should know that in our inmost being we are united with the souls who are the so-called dead. Now, it is not at all the same when a soul passes through the gate of death in relatively early years or later in life. The death of young children who have loved us is a very different thing from the death of people older than ourselves. Experience of the spiritual world shows that the secret of communion with children who have died can be expressed by saying that in the spiritual sense we do not lose them. They remain with us. When children die in early life, they continue to be with us, spiritually with us. I should like to give this to you as a theme for meditation, that when little children die, they are not lost to us. We do not lose them. They stay with us spiritually. Of older people who die, the opposite may be said. those who are older do not lose us. We do not lose little children. Elderly people do not lose us. When elderly people die, they are strongly drawn to the spiritual world. But this also gives them the power so to work into the physical world that it is easier for them to approach us. True, they withdraw much farther from the physical world than do children who remain near us. But they are endowed with higher faculties of perception than children who die young. Knowledge of different souls in the spiritual world reveals that those who died in old age are able to enter easily into souls on earth. They do not lose the souls on earth. And we do not lose little children, for they remain more or less within the sphere of earthly man. The meaning of the difference can also be considered in another respect. We do not always have sufficient insight into the experiences of the soul on the physical plane. When friends die, we mourn and feel pain. When good friends pass away, I have often said that it is not the task of anthroposophy to offer people shallow consolation for their pain, or try to talk them out of their sorrow. One should grow strong enough to bear sorrow, not allow oneself to be talked out of it. But people make no distinction as to whether the sorrow is caused by the death of a child or of one who is elderly. Spiritually perceived, there is a very great difference. When little children have died, the pain of those who have remained behind is really a kind of compassion. No matter whether such children were their own or other children whom they loved. Children remain with us, and because we have been united with them, they convey their pain to our souls. We feel their pain, that they would prefer to still be here. Their pain is eased when we bear it with them. The child feels in us, shares his feeling with us, and it is good that it should be so. His pain is thereby softened. On the other hand, the pain we feel at the death of elderly people, whether relatives or friends, can be called egotistical pain. An elderly person who has died does not lose us, and the feeling he has is therefore different from the feeling present in a child. One who dies in later life does not lose us. We here in life feel that we have lost him. The pain is therefore ours. It is egotistical pain. We do not share his feeling as we do in the case of children. We feel the pain for ourselves.